Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Batter, a podcast about how brands, business owners, and entrepreneurs rise. I'm your host, Jill Miller of Vera Creative, a small marketing firm in the Chicagoland area, where I'm also a part-time instructor of an advertising course at St. Xavier University. Join me as I hang out and talk to people who know all about the ingredients to success and the recipes for disaster. Hey everybody, we're here at episode 10, and I just want to remind you that we do a giveaway every week. If you share the episode, follow us, like us, just take a screenshot, show your interaction with us, and you're entered to win free coffee. And I also want to remind you guys that after each episode, I write a blog, and I take you a little bit further behind the scenes. So be sure and check that out. That's at veracreative.com/podcast. So today I am here with April Johnson of Journey to Healthy Living. And April is an integrative nutrition and functional medicine health coach. April, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for just being here and sharing all your wisdom and knowledge. I already know this is going to be a great episode. I can feel it in my bones. So,
me too.
Awesome. We're vibing high today, I guess. So talk to me a little bit about your role as an integrative nutrition and a functional medicine coach. Tell people what those things are and how that plays out in terms of how you help people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So as a integrative and functional medicine health coach, when I work with my clients, I work with them to find the root causes of their health issues. I mainly focus on helping women with thyroid and gut issues. As I was beginning my health coaching career, I was working with women particularly, but I was seeing a pretty common theme, and that was hypothyroidism and a lot of gut issues. And so for me, I know that this is a really big issue for a lot of women, especially thyroid. And so I really wanted to hone in and help women with those particular areas. And so that's what I do right now. The women will come to me and will have so many issues related to their thyroid, with their gut, constipation, inflammation. Some of them are border autoimmune. So I really work with them to figure out where to start the healing process. And a lot of the times it's going to be food related. And so we can work through that, going through pretty much like gluten-free, dairy-free is one of the first things that we really work on. But also start healing the gut. But I also look at other types of deficiencies. A lot of these women have a lot of nutrient and mineral deficiencies, so we work on supporting that area. But also another main area is lifestyle, like stress and sleep and mindset. So when I work with a client, it's a whole body approach. So it's not just one area. And that's how I work with my clients.
So are you working with people virtually or face-to-face?
I can do both, but majority of the time it's virtually. It's a lot easier to do that because you can expand out pretty much all over the world versus just, in your local area.
Yeah. Where's your farthest away client?
Good question. Actually, they're all in Pennsylvania. That's where I'm at right now. I haven't had any out-of-state ones at this point, but gotcha. I would love to be able to hit more up in the country, but right now it's been all over Pennsylvania.
That's great. I'm the complete opposite. I live in Illinois, and I have one client in Illinois, and all the rest are either on the East Coast or in Wisconsin.
Wow, that's something.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like the farther you are away from me, the more you know me somehow. Very
that's
backwards.
Awesome. Good for you.
So how do we arrive at a diagnosis? What does that process look like? Are they getting diagnosed from their doctors, and then they're getting put on meds, and then the meds are just masking symptoms, and then they're like, this isn't working, I'm seeking some sort of holistic alternative approach? Or what's kind of the typical, well, I know there's no typical journey because everybody's so different, but how do you uncover the truth as to what's going on in each individual human that you work with?
Yeah. Yeah, so as far as diagnoses go, that would be coming from their doctor. But in the functional medicine world, we really don't even look at diagnoses at all. It's really about the specific person and what's going on inside of their body and the symptoms that is being presented. And those symptoms, it's the body telling us that there's something going on. So it's really honing in on those symptoms. When the client works with me, we're going to do a health history. I have a really extensive intake form, symptom questionnaire, and I also review lab work. And in that first health history consultation with me, which is 90 minutes with me, it's really that's where the deep diving goes into. It's getting to know the person and really, a lot of the people that I work with, they just really want to talk to somebody about what's going on with them. Because a lot of the times they'll go to their doctor and they don't even really get to have a conversation with their doctor. You know what I mean? Like they'll go, you get like 10 minutes with him or her, and they don't really get a chance to really talk to someone about what's going on with them. And a lot of people have a really good gut instinct on what's going on with them too. Like they kind of know what's going on. So it's really just having that or conversation with them and start putting these puzzle pieces together. And what I do is I put out like what is called a map and connecting all of these things together. And then we start working on the root causes. And like I said, a lot of them is going to be food or the, nutrient deficiencies. It's going to be mindset. It's all tied in together. But yeah, a lot of the people that come to me too, they have been dealing with their health issues for a long number of years. When you have one health issue, you take a medication for it, it doesn't really solve the problem. So later on down the road, you're going to have downstream effects from it. So they're going to have other health issues after, their initial diagnosis of whatever it is. And so a lot of them come to me and they just flat out say, I do not want to take another medication. I do not want to be put on this medication. I am done being sick. I want to feel better. How can you help me? And that's the truth. And they come to me and they say those things. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many people out there that just, get so tired of being in the system of sick care. And that's what I call it, unfortunately. It's down the road when they're continuously having one health issue after another and a medication after medication after medication. It's sick care. And they just don't want it anymore. So I really try to help them find out what's going on inside of their body and start that healing process. So, and it's not a quick fix. It takes time. That's their health journey. It could take a year. I mean, it depends on the person, but just to begin that healing process. So,
yeah, I'm glad you brought up the time piece because I was going to say we live in an immediate gratification society and we want it now, and most things we can get now. And I think that there's a lack of understanding when it comes to our health that it's literally like the name of your business says, it's a journey and it lasts a lifetime. You can't just kind of, well, I mean, you could, but you're not going to be successful at it, like pick it up and drop it off when you feel like it. But like it truly is a lifestyle. And I'm not sure, my hope is that people are waking up to these things. But I agree with you. I think we hear a lot about disease and we hear a lot about avoidance or masking symptoms, but we hear very little about prevention, health, personal responsibility. Why do you think that those conversations aren't happening as much?
As far as personal responsibility for your own health, or?
Yeah, like why do you think mainstream is avoidance and prescriptions and not the other way around, not, nutrition and vitamins and minerals?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, my view on that is I really do believe that, unfortunately, there is money to be made in sick care and the pharmaceutical world. And, they don't, now I'm not saying that they don't want people to get better, but there's a financial gain in people not getting well. And so I really do feel that is a big reason why you don't hear about nutrition, even what's going on right now. I'm just going to go out there real quick. the lack of discussion about nutrition and how to support your health and your immune system is so important right now, and it's not being discussed. And so, like I said, I really do just feel that, there's a big financial gain when people are not well. And so, unfortunately, I have to say that, but I think it's to be true. So,
yeah, no, I agree with that. And as a marketer, I kind of hate my profession right now, to be honest with you, because I understand the way headlines are written. I understand the emotional pull that people go for when writing a headline or when crafting a story. And it's all about digging into your emotions and hitting a nerve and striking a nerve. And when that nerve is fear for somebody else's profit, that really bothers me. I'm not on board with that. And I feel like, great example, we see a lot of commercials for fast food and for junk food and for and then for the medications to cure all the gut issues and the obesity that derive from those things. But when was the last time you saw a commercial for whole grains or, organic food or just vitamins, like anything, you don't, it's just not out there. And it's sad to see, but I feel like people might slowly start to be waking up. And maybe that's just because I'm tuning in more and more to those conversations and more to those people who are kind of leading the charge. But how long have you been doing this line of work, I should ask?
I've been a coach now kind of on and off for 3 years, but I've been in the health and wellness field probably, I always lose track of time, but I want to say it's been at least 10 or 11 years.
Yeah. So in 10 or 11 years, have you seen a shift towards people waking up and towards people taking that personal responsibility for their health, or at least questioning, hey, this medication has made me feel worse than I did before? And I think just let me throw this out there too. I think a lot of times people don't even know what feeling good is like. They're so out of touch and numb to their body that they don't even know how sick they are because they have nothing to compare it from. They're so far away from their state of well-being that they can't remember what it feels like. But have you, that was just a whole side point, but have you seen in the last 10 or 11 years, maybe people starting to kind of move in a different direction away from the traditional medicines and doctor approach towards a more holistic approach?
Yeah, honestly, I think there has been a shift. I think we are moving in that direction. When I first started my health and wellness journey, I was big in learning about GMOs, and I was, very much into March Against Monsanto and going to those grassroots movements. I can't even talk right. And I noticed a big shift even in that over the last 2 years. And going holistic health, I have seen a huge shift. I think we still have quite a ways to go, but I have had a lot more conversation with people. More people are very aware of what is going on when it comes to food and it comes to our healthcare system. And I've had people come to me and just couldn't believe, like I said about our food, how bad that is, but how basically it's when you get into health issues, it's like symptom management, and people are just tired of being on that. It doesn't mean, they don't feel good, and they're just tired of all of that. And I'm excited to where, even functional medicine, where that is going to go in the next few years. Because I think functional medicine is going to get huge, for sure.
What is the dictionary definition of functional medicine?
Well, my definition of it is looking at the body as one, and that it's interconnected. And, where one symptom or one issue happens in the body, it has a downstream effect, and it will affect the rest of the body. even in, just take, for example, conventional healthcare, we're broken into pieces, right? Your thyroid is your endocrine system, and, your heart, your cardiovascular, and your GI, like it's all broken up.
Doctors.
Yeah. And you have to, if you have this issue here, you have to see this specialist, like it's all broken up. And then, even if you go see this specialist, it doesn't mean that it's going to make anything better, because they're not looking at the whole body. And that's what functional medicine teaches us, is to look at the body as a whole, and that everything is together. So if you're having a thyroid issue, you can have a gut issue, because your thyroid is very much directly correlated to GI function. So if you're having a GI function and you're having a thyroid issue, you're going to two different specialists. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not going to fix the actual problem. So that's what functional medicine teaches us, to look at the body as a whole and interconnected.
Yeah, to get two different doctors of two different specialties to even communicate is a feat in itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's hard. Are you familiar with the work or any interviews with Dr. Zach Bush?
I actually saw him on the High Wire a few months ago. I never actually heard of him, but I never heard of him. I'll be honest, never heard of him until I saw him. That interview, which just blew my mind, by the way. If any of your listeners have not seen that interview, they need to go find it and they need to go see it.
Yep.
He is a wonderful human being, and I started following him. So there's some things that I know that has come up on my Facebook feed that I haven't been able to see yet, but he's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. His information is really mind-blowing, and it's consistent. And I think that's another thing that creates confusion around health, is just the inconsistent messages that people get. But his information and his message and his delivery is clear, it's consistent, it's intelligent, it's compassionate, it's everything you would want in a doctor.
Yeah, my gosh, yes, that's true. So true.
Yeah, he's awesome. So getting back to business talk to me a little bit about how you've grown your practice journey to healthy living. Like, what are from a marketing standpoint, like what do you have to do to cut through all the clutter and the noise to reach people?
Yeah, and I'm actually still working on that, to be honest. It's been a journey. When I started my practice 3 years ago, I had no business sense. I had nothing, and as the time was going on, I started realizing too that I had a lot of mindset problems, and I had some emotional traumas that were affecting me in my business. So I actually had to go and work on that. I started doing that a year ago. So the first year or so of my business, it wasn't all that great, because there was confidence and stuff, like my own stuff was getting in the way, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I was working on that. And, this year I've been doing a lot more with networking with people, connecting, meeting people and having relationships with people. Online space is hard because you have a lot, like you said, all that noise, like you have all of these other people out there, and you have to like kind of make yourself, not common, and just, just be you. But, I was kind of playing it safe there for a while, just kind of like not really, speaking out loud or using my voice. But I have been better at that recently. But you have to work really hard on the online space. And so that's really what I have been doing this year. And been gaining a lot of momentum and growing as a person. And just recently, I've been feeling the pull and desire to actually start collaborating with people or connecting with either wellness centers or doctors. And so that's what I've been kind of focusing on this past few weeks. And I actually have quite a few people hit me up who would like to have a conversation with me. So I don't know where it's going to go, but I just had this pull that I just really want to branch out a little bit more. And so that's kind of the direction that I'm going in right now. So we'll see what happens. As far as like my business here locally, my overall goal, which I'm hoping will happen next year, is to educate my community. I want to be able to do more classes. I want to be able to teach people how to make can and cooking. So those are like some of the goals that I have in local business, being executed next year. So it's kind of evolving and growing and changing, and I'm really excited for where the future's going to go. So
that's great. I often tell a lot of my clients, like, be a source of information, be a source of education. Don't just simply be pushing sales and your products and your services all the time, because people are so onto that and so turned off by it. And it comes up a lot when I talk to business owners in terms of one of the ingredients to success is really not awesome. Take off the mask, people. Take off the mask. You have to be yourself. And I think people think that they can put up a wall between them and their customers. But again, people aren't going to connect with that. They're going to connect with authenticity, your true voice, your heart, when you're speaking from your heart versus your head. And so would you say that was maybe a surprise when you first started a business, that one, you were going to have to do so much personal growing to have business growth, and that two, you were going to have to put yourself really out there, all your opinions, all your stuff out there for everyone else to see?
Yeah, that video comes to my brain when I first started my business. And when I was, into it for a while and, I wasn't really, getting any clients, I started to realize that I'm missing something here. And I was talking to a lot of business coaches and some other people that I know, and they were like, personal development is a very, very, very big piece when it comes to your business. And I was like, really? Personal development? I'm like, okay, well, let me start diving into that, I guess. And when I started diving into it and things, I was just like, okay, well, whatever. And I started diving into it, and I started to realize, wow, and stuff started coming up for me. And I started diving into meditation, and I started journaling, and I dive a little bit into quantum physics and healing, and so much started coming up for me, and it was crazy. But I worked through a lot of stuff from my past, and it brought up more of a confidence in myself, because that's really what my issue was. Let's put it out there for everybody.
I think that's very relatable. I think that's extremely relatable. And I think that there's even if people don't want to admit it, there is a piece of self-doubt whenever you start a business, because I think I've said this before, it's totally different when you have to rely on yourself to bring in money, and you don't go in for an interview, get told how much money you're going to make every month or a year, you know what I mean, and then go to show up and collect that paycheck. It's the amount of confidence it takes to do the other, the former. It's wild.
Yes.
It's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I definitely was struggling in that area, and I uncovered a lot of the reasons why too. And when I processed all of that, I'm still on the journey. I don't know if it'll end anytime soon. I think it's something that we work on continuously every day. But I have more confidence, and I speak more from my heart and the truth. Even if people are offended by it, sorry, but this is how I feel, this is how I think, and I try not to let others' judgment affect what I say and do. Because that was really what was holding me back too, was other people's judgment.
Yeah.
So working through all that and got me to where I am today.
That's awesome. I love that story, because it actually what you had to do was go to the root cause, which is exactly what you do with your clients. And so,
yeah, exactly. It is.
We've come full circle here.
Nope.
in a matter of minutes. That didn't take long. Boom. There's your message, people. I think the good thing for me in my line of work is I can pick and choose, and you can probably too, who I work with. You know, if I don't stand for a product or a message, I'm not going to take it on and do the marketing, because then I'm in this position where now I'm marketing something I don't believe in. And again, going to that authentic voice, that makes it just harder and miserable for me to have to kind of craft something that I'm fully against on a personal or, professional level. So have you run into any clients where you've had to say, like, you know what, like, you're not doing the work? Because when you own your own business, you get the blame for everything, okay? Like, oh, my business isn't growing. It must be my marketer's fault. Because there's no other, customer service or pieces that could possibly play into it, right? Sarcasm. But so have you had any kind of, and I wouldn't say they're even disastrous experiences, because, I think one of the first freelance projects, great story. Okay. First freelance project I ever did, we uncovered some really hard truths for the business owner. And when we delivered our presentation of, hey, the markets that you're looking at are pretty saturated with this product already, and we really don't think from a numbers, like we crunched numbers hardcore, that you're going to be successful, that you're going to sell the amount you need to sell to make your overhead and profit to make a living. And they were mad. I mean, yelling at us. And I think one of the business owners hung up the phone. It took about 3 years, I think. I forget the time frame, but it was years. For them to come back and tell the other gal that I was working with on the project at the time, we just want to thank you, because your findings made us go in a completely different direction. We actually bought an existing business and we're thriving. And I have chills right now talking about this. But for years, I felt so horrible about that experience. Like I was the one that failed. And then I realized, like, wait a minute, no, I just did, due diligence, and I just did this person a big favor, and, like, look at how it turned out in the end, So what in my head was just this disastrous experience from a business standpoint, and even just a relational standpoint with these people who, I cared about them. I wanted them to succeed. So I could have chalked it up to a big disaster, but actually, in the end, it wasn't a disaster at all. It was a huge win. It was a huge success. Do you have any stories that kind of might be similar to that? Have you had to pick, people like to say, well, this diet didn't work for me, or this exercise didn't work. They blame the thing. They don't take that personal responsibility, to use that word again. So I think sometimes with health coaches, I know we have a mutual friend in Sheila Peterson, and she was my first podcast guest. But if everybody go back and listen to that episode, by the way. But a little plug for Sheila. But I think, it's a lot of times people might blame her, like, oh, well, I tried this health coach and it totally didn't work for me. And I think we're self-aware enough to know that that's not the truth, that it's them and not you. Yeah. So have you ever had to say to somebody, like, I'm sorry, but this isn't working out, or have you been fortunate enough to?
Well, I have had, when I first started health coaching, I did have a client that wasn't really jiving, and this person wasn't really following anything that I was putting out there. It was kind of very resistant. And at the time, I was a new coach, and I still continued to coach this person, even though in my gut, it wasn't the right fit. So after that experience, I learned quickly that if I just didn't feel that it was working out, or it just didn't feel good, that I needed to say something. And unfortunately, I have not had that happen yet again. So thank goodness for that. But that one client really showed me, like, my boundaries, like, If this isn't driving, and this isn't feeling right, and if you're not doing the work, and if you're complaining all the time, then like, no, we're not gonna continue going on anymore. I'm not gonna put my energy into all of that if this person can't even, try or, have some type of positivity in any of this. Like, yeah, it's that's where I draw the line. So it taught me something for sure. Yeah.
And boundaries is a really hard lesson to learn as a business owner. I know I'm horrible.
I'm still working on it.
I'm still working on it. I'm not even getting better. I'm getting worse. Like, I can't. I'll set my out of office and respond within minutes because I can't have my client waiting on me. And it doesn't matter. I've been in hospital beds and telling people, hold on a second, the nurses are tending to me. I'll get right back to you. It's bad. It's so bad because I'm an Enneagram 2, and I have to have people like me, and I have to have people do a good job. Like, I have to think people trust me and I'm doing a good job for them. So I feel like that I totally stems from that. But
me and you are the same though when it comes to that. No, I am just like you, and so when boundaries can be really hard. So I totally feel you on all of that.
Yeah, it's really, really hard, and I don't know. It's like you said, work in progress. Your business is constantly a work in progress. The self is constantly a work in progress. And all of those pillars of health kind of that you touched on before, the physical, the mental, the emotional, they're all a work in progress. And, what would you say to encourage people not to give up on the work?
I would say that, as you are on this journey, I mean, it's really amazing, and this is just from my own personal experience, how far I've come over the course of these last 10 years. I mean, I look at myself, and I can't even believe, it's like night and day. And it's really a beautiful process. You're going to have bumps in the road, though. You're going to have days where you don't want to do it anymore. You're just going to give up. You just want to throw your hands in the air. But I'm going to tell you, don't stop. Keep going. And I'm telling you, it's a really beautiful process. And, I recently just started a new process myself. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I joined a metabolic reset program. And so this is a new place in my health and wellness journey right now. And
say that again. What did you join? One more time.
A metabolic reset program.
Oh, metabolic reset. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, not your fault. It's like the connection is bad, and I just want to already thank listeners because there's probably going to be beeps and glitches and clicks and static, and this is such a good interview. I'm not hanging up and I'm not starting over. So FYI, everybody out there, I'm aware of this. I don't know how good our editing skills are just yet. Bear with us, but April's too fantastic to cut off or start over. So metabolic reset.
So I'm actually, I'm a functional medicine health coach. I had my way of living and health, but honestly, I needed to make some changes. I needed to clean up some of my eating. I needed to, get rid of some bad habits, and this came into my life, and now this is a whole other journey, and this has really showed me that these decisions that I'm making in this program, it's like, wow, I actually feel better than I did before. You know what I mean? And I was a pretty healthy person, but my point is that the journey to healthy living never ends. It's like I keep going at it. And when something in your life comes to you, even if it's a little scary, because this program, I'm eliminating a lot of things. So it's a bare minimum to get you through the day. But it's just amazing, when you have these opportunities that come into your life, even though it's a little scary, take a chance and do it. And don't ever give up on your health. There's so many things that you can do every single day to improve your health. And so, like I said, the journey never ends. It's a beautiful process, and just continue on doing it.
And I do think that we get stuck in our comfort zones and stuck in our ways, and
Yes.
we hang on to the things that comfort us. And a lot of times that's what prevents people from starting on the journey, is because they're afraid of that elimination piece. Like, oh, they're going to tell me I can't do this and can't do this and can't do this. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm not really living. Well, everybody, if you're sick and feeling like shit, you're not really living either. You know, like, I want to drop a little quote in here, Confucius. When it's obvious the goal cannot be reached, don't adjust the goal, adjust the action steps. Love that quote. What do you make of that?
I love that. I love that. That's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times do you think, like, when you work with people, do you have to kind of reroute the plan sometimes with them?
Yeah, I mean, when I start working with a client, we lay out pretty much an idea of where we're going to head and what we're going to do, but that's always evolving and always changing, and it's always dependent on the person. And sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. And that's kind of the things that I like about health coaching, functional medicine health coaching, is that, you know, every person's different, so it's like, it's not the same. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach for anybody. You know, that's why I love what I do. And so, yeah, sometimes the plan has to change, get altered, and we just work together. And, you know, whatever comes into their time with me, we will address it and, you know, get them on that road to healing.
That's great. So, if you had a message for people right now, like what do you want people to know or hear more than ever right now?
Well, that's a really loaded question. Let's see, a message that I would really, I mean, back to what I had stated earlier about how important right now, I think more than ever, people really need to start paying more attention to their health. You know, I can't say it enough, but what you put in your body matters 100%. And a diet that is high in processed foods, fast foods, you know, refined carbohydrates and sugars are not helping you in any way at all. And when we eat food like that on a consistent basis, it will lead to health issues down the road. There is no doubt. It's inevitable. You know what I mean? And we have a very big problem in this country with obesity and diabetes and hypertension and autoimmune conditions. I really want to wake up to this notion that it is so important to start paying attention to what you put in your body. You know, start off small. Start making homemade meals, less fast food, reducing your sugar consumption, drink more water, drink water. I can't even stress it enough. The less soda, the better. But these are the things that I would really like people just to think about, and maybe going in their home and just, you know, evaluating what they have in their house and start making those necessary changes. Because, like I said, we really do have a problem in this country, and like we mentioned earlier in this conversation, there's not a lot of talk about it. So I just want to put that message out there.
Yeah, that's a really good message and uplifting. And I think sometimes, like, what do you think is the answer for people who look at their pantry and they're like, I'm good, and it's full of like bread and pasta and, you know, or, like, I don't even know, like, well, I got Nutri-Grain bars in there and that's healthy. It says right on the box. Go marketers again.
I know.
I got the sugar-free version, so, you know, I'm doing things for my health. Like, there's a lot of media and marketing that make things appear to be healthier than they really are, and it's leading to misinformation and then the same root cause of disease. So what do you have to say to that person that says, well, April, I listened to your podcast with Jill, and I took a look at my cupboard, and it's good to go. And you know that it might not be, you know, like, like how do we, you know, what do people look for in their cupboards to check? How do people check themselves? That's the question.
Well, it's going to be maybe a little harsher, but if it's in a box, most likely it ain't good for you. Whole food.
Well, that's very practical advice, so I love that.
Whole
in a
food.
box.
Whole food.
Whole foods, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I understand. I still buy some box items, but it's very minimal at this point. And I really try to stick to organic. But just because something's labeled organic doesn't mean it's good either. You have to check the ingredients for sure. I mean, look for the sugar. How much is in there? Because that was one of the first things that me and my husband pretty much focused our attention on when we went through our pantry. Was high fructose corn syrup was the first one. And if it had it in it, it was gone. Because that's a whole other topic for another day with high fructose corn syrup. Right. But that in itself, I didn't even realize when I went through my own pantry how much sugar I was consuming in a day. Because that ingredient is in almost everything. So even if your listeners would even just get rid of that to start with, that is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. So what about shop the perimeter? I know there's people that still haven't heard of that concept.
Yes. And that's when I go to the store, the majority of my cart is produce. I always shop on the outside of the grocery store. There are a few of the items in between that I may grab, but it's very, very little. But everything that I get at the grocery store is always on the outside. That's more of the healthier stuff on the outside of the perimeter. And when we start going down the aisle, that's all the processed stuff. That's all of the stuff that's not good for you, all full of sugar and additives and preservatives, all of that. So really try to avoid going down those aisles, and definitely stick more to the outside perimeter, mostly the produce. That's a really good aisle. And organic, organic if you can get it. And I know organic is expensive. If there's something that you if money is an issue, EWG, Clean 15, Dirty Dozen, share this out to all my clients, is a really great list. What you can buy or what you really be buying organic and what you don't have to. So that's a really great resource for your listeners if they want to try to save some money. And when it comes to the produce, go check out that list. It's beneficial for
Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So one more time, Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. And I guess my personal philosophy, and I don't know if there's any validity to it, but if I'm consuming a lot of it, then I'll probably go organic with that particular item, just because I am eating so much of it, or the highest quality that I can get of that item if I'm going to consume a lot of it, if it's a big part of my diet. So that's another little tip.
That's a good tip.
Awesome. Well, April, tell our listeners how they can connect with you, where they can find you online.
Sure. You can find me on Facebook under April Johnson, or you can search up my business, Journey to Healthy Living. You can contact me directly through there. You can send me a message. You can also contact me at my email at april@journeytohealthyliving.net. And I am also on Instagram under April Johnson _FMHC. So you can connect with me there as well.
Great. And for listeners, I'll put all of that in the notes. I will I'll drop Zach Bush's name in the notes. Clean 15, Dirty Dozen, all the good tips and tricks that April shared with you guys today. I'll drop all those in the episode notes so that you can make sure that you follow up with those things and just give them a chance, Like, I guess that would be my message, is just give it a chance. Give yourself a chance to be successful. I think a lot of times we start out on, a journey of some sort, and we don't even give ourselves a chance to succeed, and know that it's going to take time. And so that's part of giving yourself an opportunity to be successful. And it's with a business, it's with health, it's with anything, It takes time. So, April, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. I really learned a lot, especially about functional medicine. I wasn't sure, what the ins and outs of that were, but I'm on board totally for it. So just thank you so much for your time today. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed my time with you as well.
All right, listeners. So just want to remind you one more time, enter the contests and giveaways. If you don't know what they are, check us out on Instagram, Facebook. I plaster a post every day. It's so hard to miss. You'd have to be living in a box. And then follow up on my blog with each episode as we go behind the scenes and I take you just a little bit further. Thanks for listening, guys.